I had good hair, bleached blonde hair. I would never say I was the kind of guy that hair was my personality, but your hair is still important to you, right? In high school, I got a really bad haircut. That's when I first kind of noticed, hey, this might be something I should look out for in my future. It was really high, and I could tell, hey, it kind of looks like it might slightly start receding soon. It hadn't yet, but it kind of just got my mind thinking. The point I started worrying about it was probably when I was about 21 or 22, the security footage. And you just look up at yourself and you go, holy crap, what is that up there? And again, it was still nothing really major, but was I really remember that being like, oh my goodness, it's starting to actually happen. It started off with a recession in the temples, not so much at the crown at the time. As the years just passed, it just slowly started transpiring into more severe balding and hair loss. And I'd say when I was around 23 or 24 is when I started really panicking about it. It was still not severe enough for like fibers at that moment. I could still manipulate my hair styles and cuts into kind of, the stylish kind of comb over that worked. Bringing it a little bit tighter on the sides and leaving hair on the top. And it worked for a little bit, but it definitely got to the point where that wasn't working anymore. That point is when the hats became the big thing, wearing hats everywhere. I'm a business owner, so I'm in formal settings all the time. And being in an office wearing a hat was just, it's laughable now. Like,
Mm.
it's just not a thing that's really you shouldn't be doing in offices in a formal setting. And at that point, when hats started becoming kind of a thing that I started thinking and realizing, hey, this isn't really doable anymore. I can't be going to board meetings with a hat on. Hair fiber really started becoming a thing. And that was a lifesaver for years. And it was like a comfort blanket for me for so long. And then later on, you realize, hey, maybe that wasn't the best thing. But of course, we do what we need to do at the time. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it worked. But as the hair kept getting thinner and thinner, it just started looking a little sillier and sillier, thinking about that's what everyone else sees. And that's when the worry really set in for sure. And when you're in the changing rooms at clothing stores, right? They have the
Mm.
big light. It's different than any natural lighting you'll ever be in, but it
All
just
the mirrors.
yeah, and that's another thing I remember is being in the store and having the 360 or 180 degrees of mirrors and seeing that's when I because at first it was the receding temples and then slowly got into the top of the head and the back of the head as well. But I didn't really know how much of the back of the head was going until that first time, and I just saw it, and I had a panic attack to be honest. I put all the clothes down and just said, I can't be out in public like this. This is ridiculous. I look stupid. I look dumb, and I don't
Really?
want
Yeah.
people. And I went home and just sat there and I went, oh my goodness, that was the big okay. I'm really just starting to go through the balding effect.
Personally, for you, what were your main worries, or what was kind of going on in your head at that point?
The panic and the anxiety starts, and you start thinking about all these things that could be affected by it. I mean, your buddies and your mates, you think, oh my goodness, are they going to start giving me crap about this and being embarrassed and going to parties and guys and buddies making fun of you. But then, of course, you're worried about the dating aspect of it, and will any woman love me for who I am, or will they see me for who I am and not my balding head? And that was one of the biggest worries. Just like, am I going to be lovable by anybody? Is anyone going to be able to see past this? Even just like getting looks in public, like if I was walking around and saw somebody look at me, I just assumed they were looking at my head and my balding hair, and then it just that spiral of anxiety and depression and worrying about that. Just what other people thought of me and strangers or developing relationships. That was my biggest worry with it, I would say for sure.
Yeah. And obviously, because of these worries and these fears, we adopt these ways of kind of reducing those, right? And then obviously, the whole kind of thing with this is okay, let's find a way to cover this up. Let's hide this. Let's, yeah, prevent someone seeing. You mentioned the hat. Was that your kind of first go to? Other than I think you did say, like, maybe try a bit of a different haircut to kind of maximize the coverage sort of thing. You mentioned it as a stylish comb over. Was that step one and then it was the hat?
When you can really start seeing the bald spots on top is when I move over the hats. It's just such an easy thing. You can grab it. It's such a quick safety blanket for you. Oh, my hair. Oh, just throw a hat on. Okay, I'm perfect. I'm good to go.
Mm.
And of course, the problem with that is that it becomes so much of a safety blanket that you know you go anywhere that you can't wear formal events or some nightclubs or bars don't allow hats. And I remember once going to a club, and the one time a friend ever said anything to me that really affected me, which she didn't mean it in a bad way, but I think I was wearing a hat and we were going to a nightclub, and they said, "Oh, Ty's going to be upset because you can't wear his hat." And they didn't mean anything of it, but it definitely hit me hard. Like, oh my god, my safety blanket's gone now. going to this place where people are already judgmental, and
Mm.
me thinking, oh, all they're going to see is my bald head. Of course, there's so many places you can wear a hat that the hat was my first big safety net for a long time until business and informal events started taking over, and the hair was just going so much at that point that I needed the next step. And the next step was definitely the hair fibers.
Yeah, so how did you get onto those? Tell me about that.
I've never been a guy that was ever interested in like doing hair systems or doing Knoxville or anything like
Yeah, I
that.
was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Also, I just didn't feel like having to do that every single day for the rest of my life to try to hold on to any hair, which is funny because my whole point was trying to hide that I didn't have hair, but I was so against, personally, I was so against doing something every day to do that, which is weird thinking about it because I was wearing hats. I'm not exactly sure why I was not interested in it, but I was never interested in doing like a hair system or anything. And that's not knocking when it does. If that's what makes you confident and happy, then good for you. Do it.
Yeah, it's not for you. Yeah.
The next step for me was hair fibers. Kind of, I'm not going the drug route. I'm not going the hair system route. Oh, but I can get this hair fiber from my local pharmacy for $18, and it does a pretty good. Like when you have enough hair, it does a good enough job.
Yeah.
I did it once, and my confidence went through the roof. And oh my god, I got a whole head of hair. And I think after a year is when I started realizing, well, this kind of looks a little silly in my opinion. It doesn't look like natural hair. It looks like a painted on big spot on top of my head. And I think, when you're losing your hair and then you come in and all of a sudden it looks like you have a full head of hair. I remember one of my coworkers, part of the IT team, did you dye your hair or something? Like it looks so much darker. And again, I didn't take that negatively, but that was the first point where I kind of thought, oh, it's getting to the point now where it's getting noticeable to other people. And then that became a new anxiety for me is, hey, this is a safety blanket, but it's not really doing what I want it to do, where it's making people just kind of glance over me. It's almost feels like it's bringing more attention to me. And that was always my biggest thing is I didn't like that attention, feeling like people were paying attention to me and assuming that it was because of my hair loss. But I still held on to it for a long time because I was so scared to actually do the shave. And so this felt like the only other option for me for a long time. Hats and hair fibers or both. In BC here, we had a really hot summer about 4 years ago. It was like 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. And we were at a lake of our friends had the cabin up there and everyone's going swimming. And I can't go swimming. I've got this hair fiber and everyone's going to know. Everyone already did know, but I was, sweating profusely and just sitting on the side of the lake watching them swim because of this hair fiber, which started really making me think like, is this worth it? Like I can't partake activities with my friends and my loved ones because I'm so worried about my hair. Like, this seems a little silly to me. That's when it started kind of getting into looking at videos and finding your channel and saying, hey, maybe it's not such a crazy step or anything massive to shave my head. Of course, I didn't do it right away. It took a year and a half of talking to myself internally and watching videos and finding videos like you talking to other guys saying, well, the second I did it, I wish I'd done it 10 years ago, right? But it got me to that point eventually.
Yeah, I do. It's really interesting when you mentioned the bit by the lake, right, with the hair fibers, because it's such an interesting thing. But like you said, it's great to watch the videos. It's great to hear other people's stories, and it does genuinely help. It helped me picking through the few that existed on YouTube when I was kind of going through it. But every guy really kind of has to get to their own point when they're like, no, like I can't. There has to be something else because I can't keep going on like this. And I think for a lot of guys, me especially, it's when you recognize just how much all of the stuff you've got going on with this hair and the insecurity around it is now actually digging into like the real enjoyment of your life, and it's only, I think, when you can see it from almost like a third, the way you described it, right? Like you can kind of see yourself there by the lake, not joining in for like the first time, and you're thinking, what is this? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? Is this how I'm going to live my life? Like for the next 10, 20 years? How long does this go on for? Right? I think that's the question we ask as well.
For me, it had to be done. It was at that point where it was the last and final step that had to be taken.
Tell me kind of how you went from building up to it to actually doing it.
I think for a few weeks I had been getting really close to doing it, but I kind of just kept putting it off. And then one of your videos just popped up because I've been watching your channel, and I just said, now's the time. Let's do it. I might not be seeing my coworkers for a while, so I don't need to worry about what my coworkers say. I just got up and went to the bathroom. Now, when I got to the bathroom, it wasn't just, I didn't just grab the shaver and do it. I was pretty scared and nervous, and I didn't know what I would look like. I didn't know what people would think of me. Probably took me 10 or so minutes in the bathroom looking at myself. And I was crying. And I just said, "You're crying here, freaking out about it. My own mind, it can't get much worse than this. So let's just do it. Just go for it. If you don't like it, grow whatever, how you have back." And I did it. And my sister came over, and I came out of the washroom, and I was tearing up and crying. And she just gave me the biggest hug and said, "I'm so proud of you. It looks phenomenal. You look great." That's what I needed at that point. Someone tell me, "Hey, you didn't lose a battle. You've won your battle now. Now it's nothing. You've conquered your battle." It took me a while to get used to it, and we didn't end up working from home. I was in the office, but no one said anything negative at all. No one, I don't think anyone really said anything, which was great. It was kind of like, oh, well, sometimes no one saying anything is better than someone saying anything. Months, someone, they said, like, "It looks really good on you. Like, you rock it really well." And one of my coworkers is now one of my business partners, actually. He never said anything to me personally, but he said, "I knew it was, bothering you, but it looks great. You have nothing to worry about. You're rocking it." And from there on, it's been what, 4.5, 4 years now, and I've never thought twice about it. I spent 15 years of my life so worried and trying to cover my hair and make it look like I have so much hair. And now that I've conquered my own battle, I love being clean shaven, and I don't like having any scruff.
Yeah.
And now I'd rather not have any hair on my head. It's such a reverse of my mentality of what it was before. And it's because, like I said, like I've conquered my own battle. I've won it for myself. I did what was best for me, and my confidence skyrocketed. I'd never thought about my bald head at all. It's the most liberating feeling I've ever had in my life because I took control of it, and it's not on my shoulders anymore.
The obvious step of just shaving it off is one thing, but aside from that, was there anything that you feel kind of helped you that another person can kind of implement in their journey to get to where you are now?
For me, I kind of got to a point where I just started realizing like I need to enjoy the little things in life. And I think my hair loss was just becoming less of a concern, which was then making me more confident to just put it to bed and get rid of it. When you're so focused on your hair loss, it's the biggest problem in the world. It's the only thing you think about. You wake up in the morning, oh, my hair looks like crap. I got to spend an hour figuring out how to work, and it's going to look like crap by the middle of the day. And you're always thinking about it. But I just put it in perspective, like, this is nothing to be spending my whole day thinking about. I've got these other things going on, my family, my loved ones, work, business. No one's saying you have to go fully bald. You can shave it down to stubble. You can find a hairstyle you like. Do whatever you want to do to make you confident and get you to finish that battle of yours and be happy with yourself.